What's up, guys? It's Rapid, and I've been doing research, lots of research, not homework for once. I've actually been doing research on this whole concept of there being like a 10th class being added to TF2, because I'm weird like that and I don't have a lot of other stuff to do with my free time, and I actually found some really interesting stuff. One thing I talked about was this whole concept of them adding a civilian class in this new update. The civilian class was in Team Fortress Classic, and supposedly they're going to be updating it so that it's actually a playable character in this upcoming update, what with the quest mode and all of this nonsense. In researching the actual 10th class, I actually found out a lot of other really interesting things. One basic joke concept of a 10th class was supposed to be a guard dog, which I think is a really interesting sort of concept to be introduced to this game. I mean, this isn't a game about, you know, dogs or even women. This is a man game. It's a manly man game. They work for Manco. It's that's what the game is, but yet a dog is man's best friend. So therefore Half-Life 3 is confirmed. The interesting thing about it is the way that it's described, it actually wouldn't have even been unbalanced or contradicted with the current gameplay that much. It wouldn't be too much of an overpowered class. If anything, it would be weaker than other classes, but its main job would be to support the other classes. So it would be like a support class that people actually want to play and actually contribute to the game, which is amazing, which is something that's actually pretty desperately needed. And even though it was just meant to be a sort of joke of a class, there's a lot out there that's actually pretty like detailed and well drawn out about it, which I thought was really interesting. So hopefully if they ever do have a concept, if they ever do want to add a 10th class, if they ever do want to add a 10th class, I guess after the next class, which would be an 11th class, I'm just having a hard time today. Yeah, hopefully they add this. But while like searching stuff about like 10th classes and all this nonsense, I found a lot of really interesting concepts for a 10th class that other people came up with. So these are not classes that, you know, have been like made by Valve or confirmed by Valve or anything like that. A lot of these are just sort of ideas that I found on the internet, but I think a lot of them work well, and I thought they were worth like at least sort of talking about a little bit. And I'll try to link where I got all of these from in the description to give these guys credit, you know, who made these, because a lot of these are really well thought out and just really good in general. One of these classes is the pilot, and basically the pilot is meant to be a guy who basically flies around the map. I don't know, it's a pilot, like it's a flying class. It's a flying class. I thought it was a really interesting concept, and the person who made it put a ton of detail, like an amazing amount of detail into what he had worked out. I don't know that it would be on the top of my list of classes to add, because I think it sort of it augments the gameplay. It makes it weird. It almost makes it like a different game. I'd expect to see something like that in a different game, but I do think it's a really cool idea. There's lots of cool artwork for it, and it's just really like well thought out. Another idea for an additional class would be the Sabotuer, which I think is a pretty good concept. I think this class would be a pretty good concept. I mean, the main idea behind it is that it's supposed to be an anti-support class. So it is one way to deal with all of those annoying snipers, spies, medics, and it's just an interesting concept. I think it's more balanced than the whole concept of the pilot class, but still not necessarily something I would expect in Team Fortress 2, but I don't know, who knows. I think an argument could be made for that class. Another idea class that I found pretty interesting is the Shocker, which I guess is a class that would be somewhat similar to a Pyro, but different in some way. The artwork for this is really well drawn out. There's actually a whole comic book for it, so Make sure you actually go and look at these in the description, because these are just really well made, etc. But I think it would be an interesting, once again, I think it would also be an anti-support class. It's not necessarily like named as an anti-support class, but it obviously would be an anti-support class. So that's some of the stuff that I found while, you know, having a lot of free time on my hands. And let me know what you think about these. Let me know if you found this interesting at all, if you want to know more about this, all of these unreleased, all these ideas, these concepts for a 10th class. Oh, and one last thing, I was able to find real death sounds for the civilian class, which is really interesting. Supposedly back in the early days of TF2 development, when the civilian class was like originally, you know, meant to be a part of the game, there were still some sound files for it that really haven't been used for anything else and really don't match up with any other character. So I thought that's interesting, so I'll play those for you. Ah! Ah! Ah!